So I have this new editing program going on, so we'll see how it goes. When I was on the Speakeasy with Scar Performance, Photo Helix, and Paul, and I started to talk about. I felt very similar to the way I felt 2 years ago in 15 when all these things started to happen to me. And that is exactly how I felt. And was it because of the things that were going on around me? Yeah. But those things would normally not have bothered me. And, one thing I remember, and I have no idea where it came from, and it was the reason why I was holding on to my cord. Somebody said, grab your crystals, because they were going through some of these things too. I don't know if it was as descriptive. I just remember someone saying, grab your crystals. And I grabbed my quartz. And I got to tell you, it helped immensely. So I went ahead and grabbed this monster. And I've been laying down with this and focusing on it and keeping it clean. And it's been amazing. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, I don't know if it's absorbing enough negativity or taking it away, the anxiousness I was going through, because everything is cleared up as far as I'm concerned. And if anything does go on, I'll handle it when it happens. I mean, that's all it was anyway. Uh, but I'm guessing this will go out on another video. The last one that you saw, I mean, the editing must have been horrendous. I don't think there's a pause button on here either. No. Gotta say, it's so much easier for me to just ramble and then edit. And right now, I'm not able to edit. And I just did a nice talk on something. I've been getting a couple of emails and messages on my last video as far as the background people, shadow people. I don't think they're called shadow people. Background people, non-human, I don't even characters. And I've spoken briefly about these things in my earlier videos, and the thoughts were kind of just being developed. So, one of the things I meant, see, now it's hard because, what I usually do is talk about experience, and I don't want to be bringing up, there's things I can bring up, but there's some personal things that I don't need to bring up. So, I need to change words and things. And to me, it's just not, it's the spirit of the message is there. So it's good enough. I mean, we're shifting timelines and you're in your own dimension and your consciousness is the only one that really matters. Now, and I've said this before, I'm going to try and really break it down here. When someone dies in your life, they're basically dying. They are dying for you. Um, they're off in another timeline, interacting with you, having their life, just as if they didn't die and they were working it. Now, if they died and they're living in that dimension where other people stayed in a dimension where they did die, where they're interacting with those people, it's to me, and this is from experience, it seems like their dominant consciousness is so far removed that they actually talk to you in a sense, that you've died. I mean, they don't, you're not going to be interacting with them as much. You won't be seeing them as much unless it's family. And then I got into that because, there's people saying, I just think I'm the observer in my family. And my advice there is show them you're happy. If their dominant consciousness is living on a timeline where you've died, but you're interacting with them on your timeline. Let them know you're happy, because that's all they want to know. And that they're going to pick that up. When you're interacting with them physically, their dominant consciousness is going to pick that up. So if you're just high and happy, they're going to pick that up. And subconsciously, their dominant consciousness, where they're actually existing, is going to pick that up. And they're going to know that you're happy. And I'm guessing, because this is kind of happening to me, and it's like I'm experiencing it kind of. They start to treat you different. It will happen differently because you're affecting them, letting them know you're happy. It doesn't have to be, let's go out for ice cream, let's go out to dinner, let's have a conversation. It can be. I think if you really interact with those people, they're going to hit that dominant consciousness is going to pick that up more. But if all you did is walk around smiling all the time, I think they'd get it in wherever they're residing, whatever timeline they're in. That's the thing. If you're the one that died, how do you know that? I mean, we're coming into that. We're starting to understand things like that now. And there's so many different roads I could take here. If like that person died for you, this is about you, and now you have to deal with them and their life. If they're happy, you're going to know it. You're not going to worry about it because they're interacting with you on a timeline, and you're going to be picking up that stuff. And yes, this is theories and speculation from experience, but it's how I interpret these feelings that I'm getting. And is it right? It might be close, but is it right? I don't know. And I also went on talking about how I feel about it and how are they my real family? Well, of course. I mean, you can actually just go about this living your life normally as you would have. I would just say be more conscious of that it's about you. Wouldn't worry so much about other people. If you need to help them or take care of them in some way, that's great. They're picking that up on their dimension. If they're far removed, if they're right there, if it's right next to it, like most of us are, I would say yes, it's going on. And there's only one blade of grass difference in India or whatever. I mean, that's speculation again, but of course, I still have the same feelings for them. They're my family, and this was the experience part. I want to talk about was the things I felt during this shift and still feeling now. The anxious, not so much as the last couple of years in September, but since the 21st, I've noticed other people trying to drag me into their negativity, into their problems, and I'm not feeling guilty about blowing them off. I'm not feeling guilty about letting them go. But I could see around other people, so many things happened since the 21st, and I sleep during the day, right? But I've just noticed, I wouldn't say anxious, but I can feel it. And we got this kind of foggy haze going around again. And this morning it was unbelievable. It was so eerie. This I don't know. It just seemed like it dissipated a little because one of the videos I was talking about it, and I said I'm going to have to do what I did before, as far as laying down, meditating, and saying, no, I'm shifting now and getting out of this negativity. But even then, if that happened the way I said, regardless, it seems like it's a progression. It kind of starts off negative. And I think that might just be our higher selves trying to get used to this, a lighter dimension, if I can word it that way. So I wouldn't say so much that it's negative. It's just we're getting used to it. So maybe that's all that is. Because it seems to gradually get easier to deal with things.
And that's basically what happened with me, now. And it's the 23rd today, and things have seemed to calm down, but I'm still feeling something. Oh, and I don't really remember my dreams. If I remembered 10 dreams my whole life, I'd be shocked. But last night, I had quite a few, and I don't recall them completely. I just recall stuff like me blowing something off because it wasn't that big of a change. Colors were different, and for me to dream in colors even more bizarre. I remember the colors, and I remember my attitude was very nonchalant, and of course, I'm waking up going, I don't have to write that down. I'll remember that. And it was just strange. Actually, the last 2-3 days, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, all seemed to smash together for me too. But my sleep patterns are different. 5-6 hours now at all, and it might be in the middle of the day, so, or whenever I can get it in. So I don't know. It's I was waking up thinking it was already the 23rd when it was still the 21st. And like today, I couldn't remember if it was the 22nd or not until I asked somebody. Chipmunk. So it's nice out here, but it's starting to get chilly. They're calling for snow. That's right. They were calling for snow last night. Didn't happen. And they're calling for some snow already up here. And so by the end of the weekend. It's getting cold enough.
The experience part, I wanted to talk from experience, and it's really a hard thing to do. Because, of course I still care for them and everything else. And the way I look at it is they're picking it up wherever their dominant consciousness is, whether it's close to mine or far removed from mine, they're picking it up. So, if you really feel like people are acting like you've died, I'd say just be happy around them. Let them see that you're happy, and I think that'll change. Because that's, what happens when somebody dies, or what happened when we believed they died. We just wanted to know that they were happy and not in pain, right? I mean, well, they're not in pain now. They're wherever they are in their timeline, still alive, interacting with you, and you're connected to all your doppelgangers. So, yeah, they're going to pick that up. So be happy around the people that think you're dead, or that you think they might be living in a timeline where you've passed on. And if they died for you, I wonder how that works. If I'm living in a timeline where they've passed, they've passed. That's it. Unless I shift to where they're alive again. So I wonder how many times throughout history that's happened. But I had a neat conversation with that as far as family, and I was going through each member, and I just don't think that's necessary. You might get more out of it, you might not, because it's all going to be an individual thing. You might have 3 people in your family and 2 friends that totally don't get it and just act like you ain't around anymore. And 3 friends and 2 family members that totally get it and they're hanging out with you all the time and you're closer with them. This could be why. It could be depending on where your timeline or where your dimensions are far removed from each other. And there's infinite. So somebody asked me, can you and I be in the same dimension? Well, yeah, of course, everything's possible, but it's probably not it's probably not likely. I mean, I don't know what timeline I'm on right now. Let's say there's 9 billion people on the planet. I said last time I checked, there'd be under 8, probably just under 7,000 as a matter of fact. But let's say there's 9 billion people on the planet, and compare that to infinite. I mean, it's not going to matter. things that, feeling people around me, being able to determine which direction they're going in, I don't really concern myself with about. The personal things that have been going on, I can't really talk about. They're still kind of going on. But I'm more of an observer. It doesn't bother me. It's even though I feel like I'll pick up other people's emotions, like first thing in the morning, yeah, I'm picking everything up. And I just, it's like once I become conscious of it, I shut it down. I put a barrier around me, protect myself, however you want to put it. Because right now, I'm just observing. Even when people come at this avatar, it's not bothering me. I find that a little strange, but refreshing at the same time. And I really felt like the information about background people needs to be put out there, that yeah, they might be background people, but when you interact with them, you are going to affect their dominant consciousness. So it's just like we're all here anyway. So just go about your business the same. But I mean, thinking about it this way, it's actually good. I mean, if you can, okay, we know we have these minds that can be programmed. So just program yourself to think that way, and things be easier, I think. Because, no matter how much you love somebody else, you don't know what's in their head. You don't know what's going on. You don't know where they're at. Help them, love them. They're there for you to love, to help, to share with, to share the experience of physical reality with. And know that when you communicate with them, their dominant consciousness is getting it. I mean, and if you feel like there's people just walking around like zombies, it's not. That's how they're going to be in your timeline, because wherever their dominant consciousness is, they're doing something else. And I would say the more they walk around zombie-like, the further removed they are. But I don't know that. I don't know half the stuff I'm saying. This is from feelings and experiences, and I just felt like it was important to get this one out, because a couple of people came on with messages, and that's another thing I talked about. I went through a lot of pain with this since 2015. This started for me in February 2015, probably earlier, I think early 14. And I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know where to go. I found the Mandela Effect site. That was a nice outlet. I found some YouTube channels. They were nice outlets. Not a lot on the Mandela Effect in 15 when I first started looking at it, boy. But the pain I went through, it was like some experiences started to happen. I started to get a hold of it, and then August, September, October drove around. Why do I think August is after September? October, the blood moons was big. There was 2 weeks there where I was not tethered to time. I think that is extremely important. I was not tethered to time. I ate when I want, slept when I want, woke up when I want, read when I want, and that's all I would do. I would sleep 5 hours with the crystal right next to me. I would eat one meal in 24 hours, and I would read the rest of that time. I would just read. And it took me a week and a half, 2 weeks to get through those threads. And everybody's like, wow, you did it that quick? Like, well, that's all I would do. There was, I think, 250 to 300 replies on each thread, and 15 threads. So, but I went through a lot of pain, especially around the blood moons. And it's strange because I know I have it written down in a book in my notebook that I need to find. Because I'm trying to line up what happened first while I'm writing my book. I kind of would like to put it in order. Some of the stuff I can't, because I'm writing about stuff that I didn't know what was going on. So I had to kind of explain it to set it up. and move ahead and go back again. So I guess it's kind of neat. But the pain I went through was ridiculous, and family and friends were included in that. Um, it was a lot of physical pain. At night, I would curl in a corner and read, and I could feel the evil looking over my shoulder to see what I was reading. I could feel the evil leaving my body. Um, and was it evil? That's what it felt like. But I think it was more like lies. Lies. The things that I believed were leaving, and I felt it. It was physical, but it was painful. And I would, you know, run to the bed and lay down and grab that crystal, and I would just lay there. I can't even explain it. It wasn't. I wasn't sick. I wasn't feverish. My body would just. I would shake, not convulsion. Like it wasn't like I didn't have control of it. Um, I would just sit in the corner. 5 minutes, 10 minutes go by. I'd lay there, put it on, sweating. The pain just stiffened my back so bad. Um, and that would be the night. And then I'd, wake up 5 hours later, it'd still be dark. It seemed to be dark. And then I would get up and get very excited for the light. And I would go outside, and for 2 straight weeks, it was nothing but fog. I kept waiting for a sign to pop up that would say, please excuse our appearance while we change your reality. I mean, I literally expected that to happen because I wasn't leaving. I had nowhere to go. I didn't care. I woke up, I would stay in my robe, walk outside, you know, have, get some eggs. That's all I was eating was scrambled eggs. That's all I was eating. And spaghetti. Yeah, spaghetti and eggs. And that was it. And it was a lot of pain. And the family and friends part is what's brought me to this, is because, I've had conversations with friends who I didn't think I'd talk to again, and conversations with friends who just weren't getting it, that I thought, well, we'll still chat here and there, but it's not going to be, about Mandela effects or shifting timelines but I'm actually friends with both of those people now, and I actually discuss Mandela effects with them. One of them actually said, I have a Mandela effect for you. So what? He goes, your nickname is Seuss, not Suso. Wait a minute. Everybody calls me Seuss. Some people Suso here and there, but it was always Seuss. That's too close for me and too minor. I mean, I don't really care. I keep expecting S's to fall out of my name. So, that somebody wrote to me SUSO the other day. I was like, oh, here we go. No, it's SUSSO, and it might just be SUSS. Suso is the name of my channel. It's part of my last name. That's what everybody called me. It was always, they got the juice, but we got the Seuss. That was the saying that they would say, like football teams and baseball teams when I was younger. I don't think much of that. That's just, people started calling me Seuss and Suso. No big deal. But most people would probably, hey, Seuss, what's up? Do I think that's a Mandela effect? No. No, until people start writing to me telling me your name was SUSO. What happened? Now it's SUSSO. Well, for me, it's always been SUSSO or SUS. Being on the Mandela Monday show and the Speakeasy, I mean, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that a lot. And I've seriously been thinking about just going out in the woods and doing something live, probably not long, maybe like 10, 15 minute, maybe 20-minute thing. Kicking that around, that could be neat. Be a lot easier than wasting all this time editing SUSS.
September 23rd, and the trees are changing. That's what I like about this time of year. A couple things I wanted to talk about. One, I've I've done a couple of videos on, and I keep redoing it. It's about that death topic, and because I've gotten a couple of emails and messages, and people are just, curious about that. What I mean by that, it all comes down to you. And everything is here for you, including people. And I guess what I was suggesting is if you die for someone else, if you're around people that are, I don't want to say zombie-like or seem like the, what do they call, background people, it may be because in their timeline you may have passed. And they're interacting with you on another timeline. You're interacting without them because in your timeline they passed. Now when, see, this is so intricate because when you're interacting with someone that has died, that believes you died, they're in their timeline and you're gone in their timeline. You're interacting with them in your timeline, they're picking that up. I think that's the important message I wanted to get. So if you're worried that they're all upset and worried about you because, you think, ooh, they may be on a timeline where I died, just be happy around them. I think that was the main message that I kept thinking, because they're going to pick that up. Their dominant consciousness is going to pick that up. I mean, when someone dies, when we were, when we believed in death and everything, what did we want? We wanted to know that they were safe and not in pain. So if you're walking around these people happy all the time, they're going to pick that up, and they're going to probably act differently towards you. So I think that whole thing will change. If you're just happy, don't have to be a reason, just be happy around them. I think that was the main message out of all that, because there's so many different scenarios going on here where somebody may have died in your life but stayed alive for somebody else that was in your timeline. Well, now you two are going to be on different timelines as well, because this person's alive in their timeline and not in yours. I said that right? I think you get what I'm saying. And we have people wondering how do I deal with that, with my family and stuff? Because I've said, I think I've passed for most of my family. And I've spoken with one of them about it, and they were just in shock that I said such a thing. How do I deal with it? They're all alive and well in their timeline, enjoying their life, doing what they have to do, learning the things they need to learn. But that's, I have so much more to say about that, but I can't. It's just going to be a big circle. It comes down to your life is for you. You're the only one in your head. Everything and everybody else is doing their thing in their own timelines. Just suggestions and theories. I love it. I'm loving this fall weather. Then trees changing out there. The one other thing that I've been feeling. Now, I don't know how much I got into this, but I remember being programmed big time to have a family and do the whole American dream thing. And these past couple of years with all this going on, I just figured, look, that's major distraction. And ripped myself away from that idea. Or at least tried to. And I always thought, well, I'm going to give up. I'm just not going to try. I'm not going to pursue. And why hasn't the thing, program, creator, control, if you want to distract me, why don't you put my the other half of my soul next to me one time, and that would do it, right? That would put me in a relationship, and that'd be the end of it. Well, maybe not. That's the thing. How much would I fight that? But these last couple of days, I've been, like being out here and seeing families and stuff and hanging out. I'm like, ooh, I remember that program. But it wasn't just desiring that and thinking, ooh, I want that. I was also remembering the boredom of that. And not the people, not the family, but the boredom of being in a family and going through that mundane routine constantly over and over and over again. I've been feeling it last couple of days. Like, ooh, I miss that. I miss the idea of that ignorance is bliss. But it wouldn't be that. For me, I'd be walking around looking at everybody. Yeah, you guys want to come over for the game? Sure. Wife will go out with her friends. Kids go out and play. And I'd just be observing, just laughing, going, wow, I can't believe they didn't realize that so-and-so team's jersey has never been like that before. And I don't mean like the retro ones or anything, or whatever. Notice the change, just laugh. Laugh at everybody else not noticing. I think it's going to be a lot more than just these little changes. And with this death conversation that I've been pulling, I keep thinking, wow, people are going to, if we're in that mindset where we really feel like so-and-so died, all they did was took themselves out of my timeline. I'm thinking we might start noticing people that we know instead of just celebrities that haven't died when we thought they did. I mean, that would be the next big step. I don't know. Just speculating. But that family thing, no. I'd like nothing more than have a relationship, but it would have to be with somebody that's awake, or at least trying to wake up. It'd have to be somebody where my dominant consciousness is close to their dominant consciousness, because anything else is just a headache. The sign wasn't. They came and played this game and then wrote that all over it. Hey Rod, say hi to all my Mandela effect people this way. Alrighty, September 23rd. Bought my winter clothes already.